Well, 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 must be winter time. Got a little bonfire going. Heck of a day for a bonfire. It's over 90 degrees out here. Thankfully, it's partly cloudy. It rained recently, so the ground was fairly wet, even though there's dry grass in with the green. So, soaked the things down with the water hose to be able to burn some brush that had piled up, to get it out of the way, because it's too late to go get some work done. Not enough money to get parts to do other work, and no load to earn money today, so working around the house. Today is September 10th, 2024. So tomorrow would be the 23rd anniversary of the destruction of the 3 World Trade Towers. Tower 1, Tower 2, and building number 7, that all just happened to collapse within their own footprint after airplanes did strike 2 of them in the top, and then afterwards there was explosions that went off in lower regions. There's been the 11th of September is a prominent date throughout history for many reasons. Apparently, President George Herbert Walker Bush, named after Prescott Walker's friend Herbert Walker, the two of which took part in setting up Operation Paperclip. I'm sure some of you have heard about how some of the National Socialist scientists were brought to the USA under that. They also brought generals and spies along with them to supposedly tell us how to do things. Yeah, they did all right, didn't they? Look at what we got today. Well, supposedly 2 different years he announced a new order of the world that people call NWO. Then there's also Islamic specific something that occurred on that date, or something they celebrate on that date. We also have coming up next month, on the 7th October, 1 year since the strikes on Israel that were at the 50-year Jubilee of a different situation against Israel. And then October 12th is a major date coinciding with Hebrew calendar of one of their times of worship and recognition. I don't recall which one it is. Pointing I'm getting at is, folks, stay aware and prepared. If you haven't seen my last 2 important videos, please listen to those while you're working or doing something. Kind of like while you're stirring coals to get them burnt out, maybe. I've got concerns about aerial drones, UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, being used against rallies, specifically of the conservative nature, for our previous president, who was elected twice and will be again. And it's going to harm people around. It's not going to take him out if it or when it occurs. More importantly, of all these other dates, and the fact that the Red Dragon military over in China apparently has designs against our infrastructure in the USA, including the electric grid. And a number of generals and other high-level people have brought this to attention of my friend and the president and founder of our Freedom Restoration Foundation. But also different ones brought this to attention to Pastor David Scarlett on His Glory TV, if I remember correctly, from one of the recent Wednesday Take 5 sessions with Prophetess Julie Green. But of course there's also some modern prophecy on the note of there's going to be attempts made, and they're not fully going to accomplish what they want to, but it's definitely going to wake everybody up and cause a lot of problems. Don't be surprised what you see tomorrow. Instead, be prepared for it today. And hopefully you've been listening to all of us trying to provide information, and you have all your necessities well stocked, like much of my friends and family won't do because they won't bother to listen to me, just like most anybody else speaking up like this. I've got friends that are trying to move and relocate to safer locations away from major seismic zones like the edge of the North American Craton, which includes the Balcones Fault that runs through Austin all along I-35 and right up by Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then over to the New Madrid seismic zone in Missouri. That begins over in British Columbia, comes down through the Pacific Northwest through Washington and Oregon, and angles down into South Texas in the Big Bend area before coming back up through South and Central Texas in my stomping grounds. Also got folks trying to move west away from nuclear powered power plants because the used uranium fuel cells aren't stored well enough, even though folks like Greg Allison and all of his associates and the late great Dr. Peter Pry, I believe it was, tried to get Congress to pass laws to force electric providers to secure and strengthen our grid, but instead our Congress members took so much money from lobbyists that it's more than what it would have taken to actually improve things. So that's how much they care about us. So make sure you got ways to produce heat this winter, multiple ways. Propane, large and small, wood, something, coal oil, kerosene, get Coleman lanterns, coal oil lanterns, candles. You can order darn soy candle wax and wicks online to make your own. It's cheaper than buying them stinky things that have scent added in them that contains synthetic estrogen that gets inhaled by all the little boys when mama wants the foo-foo in the house to make it not stink like little boy butt, and then all of a sudden they start acting like little girls for some weird reason, because the same crap's in our food, folks. All that, what do you call it, the vegetable oils and all that. Use some good extra virgin olive oil, or just use some good old lard from pork, or just what the meats got in them, that shortening and all that stuff. We wonder why Americans have such health problems. Yeah, that's in all of our recipes for my whole life. I got recipe books on the cabinet come from my grandparents that say to use that stuff, so the darn books are older than I am. So, do what you can, folks. Alert others. Work together, and most of all, pray. Pray against all these things you become aware of. Don't be scared. Ain't no reason to be scared. Fear is what evil lives off of. That's what feeds it. That's what drives it. That's why they're constantly pushing propaganda and fear through all the talking screens. Don't let anything I tell you cause fear. Just keep listening a little longer. I'm here to provide clues, solutions, just like my friends Ron Tyler, Emergency Management Associates, and Rebecca on NCWQ Explorer, and Doug on Uncommon News 777, and Rainbow Food Rocks, Gail, also her Rainbow Healing and Wellness. And who else are my personal friends? Geomagnetic Earthwatch, Brian Gunderson. And Bella Virgo, she good at calling out some nonsense. She across the pond, and she called out all the BS that people I know still can't see that happened November 2020. Well, guess what? They're striving even harder to pull some nonsense, while countries like China and others trying to make it so that we don't have any way to go cast our vote and make our educated opinion. So we better educate ourselves, pray against all this stuff. And if you have information, I got a request. I hear tell, and it's from a reliable source, but hopefully they're getting reliable information. Our country, we've got manufacturing of robotic dogs, these drone dogs that can be pretty well fully automated, and they're armed. And these things are being sold. China's making stuff like this also. They're being sold. And guess what Russia is using in Ukraine? Militarized electronic robot dogs. And we got their troops over there, plus whoever else's troops that have stripped their uniforms off, or who have been retired and gone and volunteered over there and changed into their uniforms, wearing armor and camouflage provided out of our pocket and maybe directly from our manufacturers, being wiped out by these little roughs with batteries, because they're heat sensing much better than any human can use heat sensing goggles or anything in themselves. So why is it that we are being foot the bill for all this crap on both sides of that situation still? Wiping out much of an entire population over there. Why are we still funding both sides of the bit in Israel? Gaza's getting money from us. And it's not just that Gaza is getting money and materials. No. It is Hamas themselves that's actually the ones getting a hold of that. And I got word that now that Israel finally managed to make a 100-yard wide strip on the 7-mile stretch that Gaza has a border along with Egypt, that they're going to have to hold tight on that, because there are over 200 tunnels under that little 7-mile strip of border. It's how they've been getting rockets constantly and supplies and equipment for their military, while above ground all the civilians are perishing by them and of course by IDF. And I've got information passed to me by someone that was there. And some of you have heard Patriot Nurse statements about what her associates in Israel said on what happened to the infants and mothers regarding kitchens and cooking appliances. It's true. I've got verification of someone who saw it in person, and I hope to speak to the individual myself in person soon, now that they're back stateside. The individual got over there the very beginning of October last year. Not happy about all the settlers forcing their way into Gaza, and certainly not happy about all the terror on thousands and thousands of Israelis that occurred on the 7th and for days after, and all the stuff that's been happening ever since. So I hope I can maybe interview that individual, or at least have a first-hand conversation, so if anything can be provided to me, that at least it's only second-hand to you. But I know the person I got it from is quite reliable and very close to that individual. What's going to happen here in these United States of America, especially since we got politicians who don't even like Texas because we don't want human sacrifice of little unborn children anymore to be occurring. You see, it's not only our government, it's a large majority of us citizens who love little children from the very moment of conception, when they already have a detectable electric pulse, and then 3 weeks later already have a detectable heartbeat with a regular heart monitor. So it is what it is, folks. You wonder why we got hurricane came into Houston and knocked the head off the Ishtar statue, that demonic statue they put in Houston, and now they went and put some 150-foot tall damn half monkey, half man nonsense. Well, guess what? Look at all the witchcraft and demonic crap goes on in parts of Louisiana, especially New Orleans. And right now out in the Gulf of Mexico is a storm near Brownsville, Texas, stirring things up there. And it is expected to hit what area? It's expected to turn east before it ever can reach Houston. Even east before it makes any issue for Corpus Christi. And quite likely flood New Orleans again like Katrina did. Just not as bad. Now, for all the good folks over there, let's pray for them. And also, my fellow Texans, I ask you to remember what the Cajun Navy did for Houston, Texas, when Rita hit, and other times again since then, when FEMA and other agencies were dragging their feet. Who went in there and took care of business? I can't get over there. I couldn't even get to Houston. I donated some stuff to help folks to some of those deals, you know. Had extra stuff, was going to go on a yard sale, you know, did stuff for that. Same for fire victims and what have you since then, for Texas Panhandle. Help people get started again. But the first thing that's needed is saving the lives of good innocent folks. Pray for them. Load up your boat and get with it, folks. Do what you can. Do something. Or find reputable charities. I don't think we should be messing with Red Cross anymore. Possibly not even the, I forget the other one I've always known of since I was a little old kid that often helps folks out. Looks like in those deals too many people got their hands out, or they're possibly even taking part in human trafficking. And I say hands out, I mean it's the people working for it taking benefit, instead of the people who've had their lives devastated. Thanks for your time. I pray in the name of Yeshua that Yahweh bless you all, and all those people that are going to be affected by every one of these things I mentioned. Look out for your neighbor. Cover each other's six.